Operation Icebridge is a project that's using airborne instruments to measure ice at the Earth's poles. This is the data that helps scientists understand global climate change. I'm Justin Miller. I'm a systems administrator in the High Performance File Systems group at Indiana University. This was the first time that Operation Icebridge had operated entirely out of Antarctica. So being based out of McMurdo enabled them to survey areas that had previously never been studied before. I operate the data storage and processing equipment that we bring with us to the field. My job is basically collect the data, keep it safe, and make sure it gets home. My day job, I work with data all day, but it's a really abstract concept. It's somebody's data in some directory, and I have no idea where it came from. But seeing the people in the field, surveying glaciers and sea ice, and being on the plane while it happens, gives you a whole new appreciation of research data and how important it is. The region that generated the most interest was Lake Vostok, which is a lake that's underneath the ice in Antarctica, and they were able to measure how thick the lake was, even though it's 4 kilometers below the ice. My role is to operate the Forward Observer system. So the Forward Observer is a really unique instrument that was developed at IU. It's basically a supercomputer that can fit on a plane. There are 3 servers that make up the Forward Observer, and the first server is actually what collects the data from the instruments. And then the second server makes an exact copy of the data immediately, so that before we ever land, the data is backed up. And then there's a third server that enables the researchers to compute the data on the plane. And this is key for the radar operators because they're able to check that the instrument is working correctly, and when you're on an airborne platform, if you see a really interesting result, you can actually, fly the plane back and go over the area again to get more detail about anything that they find interesting. Once collecting data in the field is complete, the next step is getting the data home and processing the data. This time, IU was able to get the data online within a week of leaving McMurdo Station. A complete copy of the season is kept on the data capacitor too at IU, and our partners process the data using Big Red 2 and Quarry, IU supercomputers. The most rewarding aspect for me personally was the challenge of going to the field and dealing with all of the unexpected challenges and really proving that to myself that I can do this and getting the data home safe.